Hi again, welcome back to our Beauty Bootcamp series. Today we're going to be learning how to highlight and contour your face, which is something a lot of people really want to know how to do. So I've already done my eyebrows and I have my foundation on, so we're just going to go ahead and start with highlighting. So with highlighting, usually you want to get a concealer that's lighter than your skin tone. And I usually use the Naked Skin Concealer by Urban Decay, and then I'm in the shade Very Neutral. With this, what you want to do, you want to put it on your face in the areas that you want to highlight and bring forward. So what I usually do, I put this on my forehead, so I kind of do like little lines on my forehead usually. And then I do it on my eyes, so I usually draw like a triangle shape thing. You kind of just make whatever shape you want really in the areas that you put it. And then I'll usually put some down the bridge of my nose, and then I bring it onto my chin as well. This will just help make these areas of your face extra bright. And so I just take my beauty sponge and I start blending it out. When I'm blending out under my eye, I kind of pull it out too, just so it spreads out evenly. And I also took it on to my eyelids usually as well, because it helps cover up my veins, because I have pretty veiny eyelids. Once you have your concealer all blended out with, from using your beauty sponge, what you want to do, we're going to do something called baking. And what that is, you take a translucent powder, a loose translucent powder, and I use the Laura Mercier powder, and what you do, you get some out and you take your beauty sponge, and what you're going to do, you're going to dip your sponge into the powder, and then you're going to put it in the places that you highlighted. And what baking does is that it basically traps the heat of your face under the powder, and it helps set whatever foundation or concealer that you put, and it helps it to keep from creasing throughout the day. Baking also helps to brighten the areas as well. So you just want to put as much powder as you see fit. And so while that's happening, while you're baking, you let it sit for about like 5 to 15 minutes, however long you have to get ready. The longer the better. You can go ahead and start bronzing and contouring. So what I do then while my face is baking, I go in with my bronzer before I do my contour, just to warm up my face a little bit. And the bronzer that I use, I've been using the most often, is a butter bronzer by Physicians Formula. It's a really good drugstore bronzer, and it smells really good. It smells like coconut. So I'm just kind of taking an angled sort of, I don't want to say it's a fluffy brush, but just some sort of angled blush for your bronzer. And you just dip it in here. You can tap off the excess. I usually most people are taught by doing like the 3. So that's kind of what I do. I usually start with the hollows of my cheeks. I kind of suck in my cheeks a little bit, and I start bronzing up my face. This bronzer isn't super dark, which is good. Which works well for me because I'm really fair, but it can be easily blended, or not blended, it can be easily built up. And so I just slowly start adding it to like the temples of my face, my forehead. I'll do it on the other side. Once you've gotten these areas of your face, you also want to blend it down your neck as well, just so it helps everything look cohesive. You don't want a super pale neck and a bronze face. It looks kind of funky. And I just usually go back and just really make sure everything is blended. Alright, so now that I've bronzed my face, next I want to go into contouring, and for contouring I use the Morphe M523 brush. Again, it's just a little fluffy brush. It's a little bit different. This is a Sigma large angled contour brush. It's F40 is the number. So it's a little bit different. This one is, for the most part, it's straight, while this one is angled, and so this one will help me get a straight line while I'm doing my contour. And what contour is, it helps create shadows on your face, and it'll bring things in versus like when we highlighted, we were bringing things out. So when you're creating shadows, like you could do it, most people do it in the hollows of their cheeks, so it creates like a thinner look on their face. People who feel like they have bigger foreheads, they'll contour their forehead to make it look or appear smaller. People contour their chin, their nose. Usually what I just do, I just usually focus on the hollows of my cheek. So I'm taking my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. It's her pretty popular contour kit, and I usually, it depends on like how I'm feeling, but I usually do a mixture of the lightest and the medium shade. But I think today I'm just going to go in with the lightest shade, and so I just dip my brush in, and I'm going to make like the little fishy face with my lips so I can see where the hollows of my cheeks are. And while you're doing your contour, you want to make sure you're not dragging it down, because then it's just going to look really muddy on your face. So you want to make sure you're trying to keep it in as straight of a line as you can. It's important to know when you're contouring that you don't contour with a bronzer. Bronzers are usually warm toned, which again like brings warmth to your face, whereas when you use a contour powder, they're usually more cool tone, which helps create those shadows. So that's kind of the difference between the two. And so I'm going to go back and do it the same thing on the other side of my face. So after I contour, I usually blend it out a little bit just so it's not so harsh. I don't want it to be like too obvious that I contoured my face. So I just do it very lightly to blend out any harshness. And I'll also take the fluffy brush up here to kind of blend out my bronzer as well. Also, to help clean up your contour, you could go back in with your translucent powder, which I'm going to do because I feel like it kind of came down a little bit. And I'm just going to put it underneath where I contoured to help clean it up a little bit, and I'll let that bake for a little bit as well. And this will help create like a super straight line once you brush it off. So right now I'm letting my contour bake right now, and I've had my bake from my highlight on for a fairly long amount of time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wipe that off now. And I usually take this Morphe M438 brush. It's just a little small, like tapered, fluffy brush. And I just go through and lightly, I guess you could say, flick the powder off. Just the areas where I baked for my highlight. On my nose, on my forehead, and on my chin. We're not going to touch the one from the bronzer right now, just because we just put that on. We want that to sit for a little longer. And if you have any excess stuff on your brush, you can also set your eyelids too, since I did bring my concealer onto my eyelids. So while I'm waiting for my contour to finish baking, I'm going to go ahead with some blush. Blush I'm going to be using today came from a Sephora birthday kit, and it's a Tarte blush in the shade Party. It's just kind of a neutral brown pinky shade, I guess you could say. And I just take my Sigma Duo Fiber F50 brush. That's what I've been using a lot for my blush. And I just go ahead and put that on the apples of my cheeks. You want to make sure you don't do or go too crazy with the blush or it'll look like a clown. I'll probably blend it out some more as well. And I kind of bring it on my little bit on my nose as well, just to bring some more warmth to the center of my face. I usually take my fluffy brush and kind of blend everything together. Okay, and so now that I've finished with my blush, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go in with my powder highlighter, and I've been really liking the ColourPop Pressed Powder Face Highlighter. And it doesn't have the shade name on it, but I think it's called like something kitty. I'm not entirely sure or remember what it's called, but it's just very like I guess you could say it's like a champagne color. To apply my pressed powder highlighter, I usually go in with my ColourPop Dense Fluffy brush. There's not a specific name for it, but I'm sure if you went on ColourPop's website, you could find it. And I just tap it around in there, tap off the excess, and then you want to put it on the high points of your face. So I usually bring it here and here on my face, and then sometimes I'll put it on my forehead. You can put some on your nose, your cupid's bow. But today I'll just focus on my face. Let me bring it up here. So just like when we did our highlighting with our concealer, when you're highlighting with a powder, these are the areas that you want to bring forward, you want to bring more attention to. So you really only want to put the highlighter in areas that you want to bring attention to. So you shouldn't be putting it all over your face. And I just bring it onto my nose as well. And then I like to blend it out a little bit more with my beauty blender, just because it'll help set that in. Make it look a little bit more natural. And then, so now I'm finished baking my contour, so I'm just going to go ahead and brush that off. And you can kind of see how it helped create a more clean line on my face. Alright, so that concludes this video. This is how you contour and highlight your face. I hope you found it helpful, and make sure you subscribe and like our video. Bye guys!